Hey agents, welcome to this module in the Build System series. This curriculum prepares and empowers you for raids, incursions, and heroic and legendary challenges. If you've hit a wall with builds from online or struggled to deal higher damage in challenging missions, it's time to think more strategically. You're not alone. I've got you covered. This series will help you understand and navigate your choices across builds, tactics, teamwork, and character growth in Division 2. The road to higher levels of damage in Division 2 isn't straightforward, and it can certainly be frustrating. And if you're looking for a best weapon or ultimate build, you're in for a rude awakening. The game differs from the Legend of Zelda series, where some players may think there's an ultimate item that makes them all-powerful, such as the Master Sword, a legendary weapon unmatched in its power against evil. You'll have to let go of this mentality when playing Division 2. If you don't, you'll limit your growth, over-rely on specific gear that might get nerfed by the developers, and lean on other players to carry you. As it turns out, the game has multiple areas to develop to advance your character. No one weapon or gear set is the end-all, and there isn't one particular ultimate build that automatically makes you a better player. Growth requires delving deeper into the underlying build system, employing innovative tactics, becoming effective team players, and being adaptable to learn new strategies. Thinking we have an ultimate build can lead to overconfidence and mission failure. Having a high watch level doesn't necessarily mean we're an advanced player, especially if we haven't contributed to group synergy, communication, teamwork, and coordination. Since the game has evolved since its launch, and the community has gained a deeper understanding of its mechanics over the years, it can be challenging for some players to let go of older concepts that have helped them progress so far. I get it. I've had to unlearn a thing or two myself. In the game's early days, people thought narrowly because there were few options to survive raids. Players of the time mainly poured into critical hit damage to improve their chances. Today, game veterans who understand the various damage categories leverage this knowledge to achieve higher damage numbers and develop innovative and efficient strategies. Many struggle to learn how to reach higher damage levels, and it's not any easier when the game uses confusing terminology. Even game descriptions contradict what players experience, so it's not easy to know if particular damage growth is additive or multiplicative. To keep things simple, I'll refer to damage growth as augmentation. If you're ready to expand your thinking and want more power for the course, then let's dive in. In the previous video module, Deadlier Weapon Damage, I covered the importance of having a robust foundation for weapon damage. The reason why is that bonuses such as critical hit damage, damage to armor, and damage to targets out of cover grow your foundation using something you're already familiar with, and that's multiplication. Because each bonus acts as a multiplier, the more robust your foundation before bonuses, the higher your damage value after bonuses. Let's say your character in Division 2 is like a racing car. You need more than an engine and its raw horsepower to perform well on the racetrack. You need a foundation of several things to work in tandem for power. Overall, performance will be the sum of a powerful engine, tuned suspension system, high-performance tires for traction, and a great body kit for aerodynamics. Together, these enable the car to reach, say, 230 miles per hour. As part of the foundational performance working with the engine, the suspension, traction, and aerodynamics are always on, dependable, and reliable. Do you notice the similarity with your character in Division 2? You'll recall that your character's foundation of lethality consists of weapon damage sources from red cores, brand and gear sets, expertise, specialization, and more. They're always on, dependable, and reliable. They're there when you need it. Well, what about extra damage, such as crits, headshot damage, and damage to targets out of cover? Let's take this analogy further. Suppose racing rules allow you to have a means to boost your speed temporarily. The mechanics inform you that they can add an aftermarket modification to your car, a push-to-pass button that temporarily increases horsepower by adjusting the engine's settings. Here's the catch. You only have 10 uses, and each one lasts between 10 and 20 seconds. When you hit the button, your car will rocket an extra 5 to 10 miles per hour to help you overtake competitors if you have a clear shot through the thick of them. However, the rules prohibit its use for the entire duration of the race. It's a significant augmentation, for sure. But is the base performance of the race car 235 or 240 miles per hour? No, it's because it's not part of its foundational performance. That push-to-pass bonus is not always engaged, not dependable, not reliable throughout the race. Once its benefits end, you must be able to rely on dependable performance for the rest of the race. Performance you can count on. If you fail to win, you and the crew will have to examine the car thoroughly from the ground up. You can't win using more press-to-boost bonuses. This is very similar to our characters in Division 2. We often overfocus on those occasional larger orange crit numbers, when the smaller numbers are trying to tell us we're not consistently hitting hard enough. In Division 2, bonuses, such as crits and damage to targets out of cover, act as multipliers. But you have to give these bonuses some substance to multiply. The weaker your foundation, bonuses have limited weapon damage to multiply. The stronger your foundation, the bonuses have more to work with. And if you have more than one category, the damage can be even more profound. The game, however, isn't just about hitting high numbers. Many get caught up in the vanity of high stats. High numbers are not a guarantee of success. You must be able to bring tactical value to your team, especially in high-stakes missions, such as raids, incursions, and legendaries. Augmentation damage, such as crits, damage to targets out of cover, and the like, are great bonuses, but you also have to consider the situation, circumstances, and your own playing skill. Let's take headshot damage, for example. You can have a build with lots of it, but if you're unable to score headshots, then this attribute won't increase your damage values. Likewise with damage to armor, and damage to targets out of cover. If enemies aren't wearing armor, or enemies are firmly behind cover, you won't inflict the bonus damage from these attributes. Or if you face armored enemies and don't have damage to armor, it'll take quite a bit of effort to take them down. Bonuses in Division 2 are not always in effect. Some have conditions for you to gain them. Others require you to maintain them. Simply having bonus attributes on your character doesn't mean they're working or that you're putting them to work. So it's crucial to align your build with tactical needs, situational awareness, and your skill as a player. Your choices, therefore, have to be practical and tactical. To prepare you for the next video module that unpacks the game's damage equation, I want to cover some very high-level math concepts to get your creativity going. I'll avoid using confusing terms like increase, additive, and multiplicative, and just focus on augmentation, the growth of extra damage outside of your foundation. As mentioned before, under the hood, the game employs a mathematical operation to calculate damage growth, which you're already familiar with: multiplication. Don't worry if you were daydreaming through math class like I did. I'll keep this very simple. Here's a comparison of two scenarios. First, let's say this 5 represents your foundational damage, and this 6 represents augmentation. Recall that foundation is all the weapon damage sources based on the video module Deadlier weapon damage. This is fundamentally the sum of your weapon damage and weapon type damage sources before any buffs and bonuses. Over here, this 6 represents what you can spend on extra damage. Let's pretend these are crits. Well, you already know the math. Your damage value would be 5 times 6. That equals 30. Nice, but could it be higher than that? Until now, you might have been told to put all your augmentation into one basket, such as crits. What if you could spend that 6 across different categories? Let's try that out. Here's the second scenario. Here's your 5 again. Now, we'll split the 6 into 3 parts. We'll put 2 into crits, 2 into damage to armor, and 2 into damage to targets out of cover. These 3 2s add up to that original 6. But watch this. You have 5. Now, times 2, and times 2, and times 2. What do you get? The damage value becomes, get this, 40. Let that sink in for a moment. This 40 is a much more appealing level of damage compared with 30. Because the game augments growth through multiplication, the more you multiply over the original number, the bigger the results. In the game, your damage values are going to be much higher and much more advantageous. This math here is simply an easy-to-follow analogy. The takeaway is that the advice of putting everything into crits is not entirely bad, but it's not necessarily the only way to hit harder in the game. If you think outside of the box, you can achieve much higher damage levels than you have in the past. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the word multiplicative. It's been a misunderstood word in the community that, for some, holds an almost magical status. Many players have been told to wear either or both Fox's Prayer and Contractor's gloves because their damage to targets out of cover and damage to armor attributes were, quote, multiplicative. This implies a superiority to, quote, additive damage growth. So, if you had a weapon such as this LMG with either or both of those same attributes, they were thought to be inferior to those on Fox's Prayer and Contractor's gloves. Let's address the misunderstanding for a moment. The word multiplicative has been thrown around to the point where people have thought Fox's Prayer and Contractor's gloves were equivalent to Zelda's Master Sword, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Sadly, neither of these pieces of gear are ancient amulets that grant god-tier damage. However, that has essentially been the misunderstanding that has circulated in the community. Note that Fox's Prayer is a named gear item. Normal Overlord armaments gear will not have damage to target out of cover. You couldn't recalibrate DTOC on it if you tried. But because this is a named item, DTOC is unique to this item. That's why it's colored in gold. And because it's colored in gold, many have mistakenly believed that this DTOC was multiplicative, and other instances would be additive. Let's clear that up. DTOC is DTOC, no matter where it is in your loadout or build. Our goal as agents is to leverage diverse multipliers as much as our playing skills can handle to support our teams and our broader strategic objectives. Believe it or not, multiplicative is not exclusive to particular items. As I've said throughout this video module, the game augments growth through multiplication. As you saw just now, every damage multiplier here is applied multiplicatively by the game's engine. Based on this, crits are multiplicative. Damage to armor is multiplicative, and so on. Multiplicative refers to the mathematical operation. We're not talking 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. That would be additive operations. Instead, these are multipliers. Knowing this, we can ensure that each of these numbers is as robust as possible so that our final calculation drives higher lethality and increases the chances of mission success. The topic of higher damage is much larger, more nuanced, and more complex than what I've been able to cover in this module, so it's not surprising that it's generated confusion, misunderstanding, and debates in the community over the past few years. I'm sure this has been quite a bit of information to take in. Hopefully, this breakdown will help you plan your next build. To summarize, you'll want a robust foundation so that any multiplicative growth will augment your damage to satisfying levels. We covered how to make your foundation more robust in the video module Deadlier Weapon Damage. This video module has shown you how to leverage multipliers in the augmentation phase, such as crits, damage to armor, and damage to targets out of cover. In our next video module, we'll cover things such as headshot damage, health damage, total weapon damage, and final stage amplifiers. So stay tuned, because we will expand on the diagram you're seeing here. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to a marvelous member of the community, named Dispatch. He has contributed valuable technical content on Division 2 and has helped improve my understanding of Division 2's damage equation. Additionally, I want to thank HUTCHLER, who explains the damage calculation of Division 2 in his remarkable video. I'll add links to them in the description section. As always, I'm very curious to hear if this has been as eye-opening for you as it has for me. Please also share any wins you've achieved from putting this knowledge to practice. I'd love to know how you've approached your builds and what new results you and your teams have seen. More to come. So be sure to look out for the next video module where I'll cover this topic more extensively with you. Until the next video, stay safe, stay strong, and stay dangerous.